Okay, so I didn't even expect this, but this showed up today. I had pre-ordered one of these like a while ago, and it wasn't actually, like it said, not shipping until March. But it showed up today. I like haven't even received any tracking or that it was shipped or anything else. But this, I wanted an additional printer, so I wanted something to help out while my other printer's going. The only Bamboo Labs printer that I have is the X1 Carbon. I don't expect this one to be as good as that one, but I really wanted to see what another type of their printers would be like. So this is, I guess you'd call it an unboxing for sure. Okay. Okay. So this is, this one came with the AMS Lite. So basically it's just like a stand that all your filament will go on, so you could do multicolor prints. Okay, so this is the main platform, it looks like. And then we got some sort of box here. These look like the stuff that would go on the AMS system. So I have no idea what this comes with or what it doesn't come with. The X1 came with it came with some pretty cool stuff, like a little blade that you could print the handle to, a scraper, like a bed scraper, and it's actually a really good bed scraper. Look how tiny that bed plate is. That's so tiny. This is the the X1 Carbon bed plate, and I actually thought this one was small when I got it because I had an Anycubic Cobra Max that I was using before I got the X1, and that bed plate was like, you know, at least 50% bigger, you know, than this one. So that looks so tiny to me. But if this can handle small fine detail prints, it'll be perfect. I don't need it to be any bigger than this. Looks like this is a spool holder for filament. I actually don't think I'll be using this one. I'll be using instead this whole setup for 4 rolls at the same time. So we got some pieces in the side here. Something. I have a lot of stuff going in my recycling this week. That is so tiny. That's crazy. I could probably fit this on top of my other one. I guess that's why they call it the A1 Mini. That's cool. Let's set this thing up and take off all of the plates here, or the foam. Get all the foam out of here. They pack it really nicely, it looks like. So this is what you would call a bed slinger, which is different than the X1 Carbon. So the X1 Carbon, the bed stays at the same X and Y axis. It doesn't move this way and it doesn't move this way. It moves up and down. And then this, the extruder or the hot end, moves side to side. This one, the bed moves forward and backward, but not up and down or left and right. So this takes care of the other two. This will move left and right, and this will move up and down. So I'm interested to know how that works out, because bed slingers are usually not as, they usually shake a little bit more because you have the weight of the bed moving back and forth, and you have the weight of this moving back and forth. And so together, those are kind of shaking it more so than it would shake if you only had the extruder moving on, you know, the X and Y. So interested to know how this is going to work out when that bed's shaking around. I think that that's probably one of the reasons they made this one a mini, because the smaller it is, the less weight you have moving back and forth. I don't know. I'm not really an expert, so, but I have had, this will be my third printer if you don't count the 2 that my girlfriend has. So technically we have 5 in our household. 4, but then, you know, this makes number 5. Whoa, flimsy looking cover. So one of the reasons I also wanted to get this one is it has a quick change nozzle, and I guess it's really easy to change out that nozzle. The camera's under there. So then you can take time lapses of whatever you're printing, and you can just, has a rotating cover. Very nice. Please maintain safety margin in front of and behind the printer. Why? Because your bed is going to be moving backward and forward probably. Let's get this thing together and get a print going, because I really want to see how this performs versus the X1 carbon. It would be really cool if they changed all the white to black, or gray or some other color. I bet they would sell a lot more of these. I wonder if this bed has to, oh, it's removable. Just like the other one. Cool. Pretty excited to see how this does, for sure. So let's set that off to the side. The AMS, oh, and then it comes with this, it's like an LED lamp kit. So I guess I could probably print this first. I do have some clear filament. This is, I guess this, yeah, would go on the bottom. You'd probably print the housing to go over the top. And then you have a on-off switch. So maybe that should be our first print. Okay, so we got some tubing. This, yeah, AMS tubing. I'll bet you anything that's what that is. What do we get with the AMS? What do we have here? So this is some odds and ends. So like essentially in this thing with the black ends, this is the needle in case you get a clog. You shove it up through the extruder end. Looks like we got lubricant oil. What is this? It's like a color swatch. Oh, bamboo filament swatches. Oh, badass. Interesting. That is cool. I don't know. I'll look through this, but that is badass that they give you something that you can kind of look through and see if you like a color or not. I mean, they have some, like I saw some transparent stuff. Look at that. So it's kind of, you know, you can see through that. That is neat. So I might actually print something that I can put this in. It would be kind of unwieldy to just kind of have it around. What do we got here? These look like the rollers that the filament will go on. Pair with roller 2 or 4. Pair with roller 2 or 4. Pair with roller 1 or 3. Gotta make sure I'm not tossing any parts here. Those would be good, like, backing for maybe some obstacles on the course. So this goes on to what, this? So screws, we need some screws for that. Bamboo Lab is pretty good about labeling things too. Look, for AMS stand. This is the one we need, it looks like. And that is a number, what did I grab? 2? 2. Just an FYI, this Hercules drivers are probably one of my favorite tools because you can adjust the amount of torque, and so I can just drive this thing all day and it's just gonna stop at a certain torque. So very handy, especially when you're working with like RC vehicles or like, you know, expensive stuff like this, which I guess in terms of printers, this is not really expensive. They advertise this for, it was $199 for this. So if you get the AMS, it goes up to like $350, which is what I did. You know, you can get this for like, you know, a little over $200. $199 and then tax and shipping or whatever. So in my opinion, it's a good deal. This turned out to be a little bit less, so like maybe $150 less than the Anycubic Cobra Max. So really, that's what I'm going to be comparing the quality to on this setup. Because I still have that printer, and I actually hardly use it because I default to the X1. But for things like, you know, course obstacles or something like that, I'll use the other one, the Anycubic. I'm hoping that this does. I'll get a 0.2 nozzle for this. What one comes on it? So this comes with a 0.4 nozzle. Okay, so on the top of this, we got one pointing over here. It just says pair with roller 1 or 3. Does this have like a specific number though? I just see that they're both green, so I guess it doesn't matter which one goes on which side. So this one and this one, I assume they go on like that. And then these ones, I guess they're not numbered specifically. Okay, so it just takes some force to get it on. Okay, so that is one of the things I really like about this brand is they have, you know, Maker World or whatever, that you can go find some really detailed and cool models. Like I printed this AMS riser, and that thing is one of the best models. I can't even believe it's free. When printing PLA and TBU with an enclosed printer, keep the front door or top cover open. I guess I don't have to do that. What is that? It comes with an SD card in it. Interesting. 32 gig SD card was already in it. So that's pretty cool. This is the Z-axis limiter, according to the instructions that I didn't read. So I believe we're supposed to tighten these. And there's 3 of them. This is the purge wiper. Oh, so it has to go this way. Okay. That's where that goes. Not sure how I feel about that thing hanging off the end. This comes in the bag. I didn't know what that was. This is the spool holder base plate, which goes right here. Does this slide over that? Yep, it does. Okay, so all right, so that's where your single roll of filament would go. You know, since they have this and then their AMS system has 4 slots, it would be really cool if they could enable you, they could just add a 5th one over here so you could actually have a spool on all of the slots instead of just using one or the other. So just my 2 cents. So this actually has to be on the right side. Well, I mean, probably for the tubes to reach, but this is where they, in the instructions, they say put this on the right side. So they have these go right in here. The side closest to the printer goes in the holes further away. Not like that much of a difference matters, but longer ones go in here. Just slot down. Should probably zip tie these maybe to get them a little bit cleaner. Oh, that's what that is. So you'll notice that one of these are slots, if you get one of these, are smaller. I believe that is for this. Okay, so that helps organize it. I guess we could print another one of those for a little farther back too. Okay, so on this, it has a 4-pin connector. So that actually plugs into either one of these ports on the side. So let's just plug that into the back one. So the on-off switch, where is that? Oh, it's on the back, so that's the on-off switch. Okay, so I think I have found the spot that this printer is going to live. Something I noticed though is that the AMS light is really light. If this extruder pulls all the way over, it starts pulling this and tipping it. So always going to have some weight on this, you know, with the filament. So that's probably something I'll have to keep in mind. If I only have like one spool and it's low on there, it'll probably start jerking it around. So this is where it's going to go for now. So let's flip this on and see if we can get a print going. Still trying to figure out where I want this. I probably like facing it because that kind of... I'll get some filament on here actually. We have some gold. Don't really use a lot of this. We have some red, matte red, silver. Okay, initial calibration. So calibration takes probably about 25 minutes. I guess I was reading there was, it's currently on the motor noise cancellation, which takes 7. Then one after that takes like 5, and then like 15 after that, or something like that. So I'm gonna wait for that to finish and come back to it. Okay, so just finished lubricating this rail. And then it's updating, and then we're going to get a print going to see if this is going to be a valuable addition or not. So it's been a few days and I've had a chance to use this. Kind of a little background, my first printer that I ever had was an Anycubic Cobra Max, and it had a gigantic bed size, 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters. And this entire bed would fit on one quarter of the bed. So that was my first printer, and I thought it was the most amazing thing. The first printer I had ever actually used was about 10 years ago, I think. And it was the tech club where I attended college had a 3D printer there, and they had it on this like rolling stand, and they'd roll it around and like go to functions and kind of show it off. But we've come definitely a long way since then. So basically, I had an idea. So you can get this printer for as little as 219 bucks. So 219 bucks, and you just basically get the basic printer. It's $359 with the AMS system. So you can print 4 colors at once, and you can do multicolor prints, which is awesome. It's really cool to be able to not paint things, because I suck at painting. So basically my idea was to print a bunch of the same things with all 3 of my printers to see what sort of quality I can get out of this one, because this is the newest edition. You know, the X1 Carbon is fantastic, but again, that's a $1,500 printer with the AMS system versus, you know, something like this, which is technically bottom of the bottom rung. You know, it's the cheapest Bamboo lab printer that you can get. So I'm going to print some of the same things, just the same exact models, and we're going to see what the quality is. And I'm not going to do like a whole bunch of in-depth stuff, but I'll print, you know, using the basic settings, the standard settings that this thing comes with. I'm not a printer pro or an expert with 3D printers, but I can get by with you know, the basic settings. So let's print a few of the same things and see how they compare, because I really want to see if a $219 printer comes close to a $1,500 printer, and where among those two would the Anycubic Cobra Max fall into place. So you know, it's been a few years since I got that. I'm interested to see how they all compare. So I have some models here that I printed. They're pretty much the exact same. One card printed on each printer. And you can see the difference in the quality of the letters. So I stopped doing the comparison. The A1 Mini is a really good printer. It's like much better than I thought it was going to be, and much closer in quality to the X1 Carbon than I was expecting it to be. So anyway, I scrapped the whole comparison thing, and I printed this M4 piece by piece on the A1 Mini. So first I printed it really tiny, right? This is all done on the A1 Mini except for actually the handle, or the pistol grip. So this at this size, it was a little bit too small to get the detail that I was really looking for. And a good part of that, I think, is the filament that I use. The filament, depending on what you're printing with, some filaments print better than other filaments. That's just the way it is. So anyway, I printed this with like a metal colored filament, and so that I'm pretty sure had something to do with the quality of it. But it still turned out pretty good. But it didn't actually have the detail that I was looking for. So I also printed one just to compare it. This is printed with the X1 Carbon, and this is with a 0.2 nozzle, and it's pretty detailed. The stock is, you can actually adjust the stock. The hand grip on the front is adjustable. I didn't actually glue any of this on except for the muzzle device. And it actually printed enough detail to where I could get the magazine release to work. But at that point, I didn't have a magazine that fit this. I just found one, and it was like too long, so I just clipped off the top with some filament clippers and shoved it up in there and glued it. But otherwise, the magazine release would have worked. So I thought that was really cool. Obviously, this one has much better detail than the A1 Mini did, but I'm pretty sure that most of that had to do with the filament. So anyway, I decided to print a bigger one so I could get some more detail out of it, and this one was 100% printed with the A1 Mini, and it turned out really well. I did modify some of the parts that went into it, so I made the fake red dot for it and just put that on it. The magazine, I also made the magazine, so I made it the right size so it could fit, and this magazine release actually does work. So when you can't pull it out, and you just press that in and it comes out. So the only thing is with this, I don't have a spring that small, so it doesn't reset, so I actually have to push that back in to keep that from coming out, but it does work. The selector switch works. The stock actually has this little lever. It's a working adjustable stock. Again, I'd need a spring to actually get it to reset, but this is badass. I actually just wanted it to kind of hang on my wall, and then I added some aesthetic stuff to the magazine just for looks. But I thought it turned out really cool. Obviously it's missing like a charging handle, right? So it's just a little model, but it's really detailed. I think it turned out awesome, and it really kind of put the A1 Mini through its paces on printing some detail for this. But it also got me kind of wondering if I could print like a 1-to-1 replica and just turn it into an airsoft rifle. I've never played airsoft. I've never actually owned an airsoft rifle, so I never built one. So this would be, I don't really even know if it's possible, but because I don't know what all the internal parts you would need for this would be. I've done some research, and I think it looks promising. So I think I'm going to modify, first of all, I think I'm going to probably modify some of the pieces. Like this handguard, I modified that. I actually cut those holes in it. Those actually didn't come cut out or anything. My plan is to basically build two of these. One will just be something I hang on my wall. It won't have internals. It'll just be like this, but it'll be you know, a 1-to-1 scale replica. The other one, I will try to get it to a working, to be a working airsoft rifle. So that's where I'm going to go. The first things I got to do is figure out what I need to print and what I need to buy. That is cool. I mean, that's a pretty cool little M4. So I have some parts. I had some black filament and I had some red filament. And so I started printing parts that I knew I would need. First, I'll print all the stuff I need for just the model that's going on the wall, and then I will basically duplicate them. I don't really know like what all parts I'll need. We'll figure that out. And I actually don't know where a lot of the parts would go or what all, what the parts would be used for. So we'll see. Okay, so here's some parts. I printed a lower receiver. So this is the lower receiver. And the print kind of messed up at one point. So it's got like this line through it right here. I was trying to do like a multicolored print. And it probably, I don't know, just clogged up for just a little bit right when it was finishing the print. And this is almost like a separate piece. It didn't actually attach. You can actually see it, like, you know. And this print, just this piece took 3.5 days. 3.5 days for this thing. I think that when I make the actual shell, I probably won't be doing stuff like this. I'll probably figure out a better way of like adding an accent color to it, because I really, oh, I had put a button in there. So when I print everything, I'll probably just find some like a better way to add the red accents. This actually looks really cool though, where the safety is going to go. So I might still do that because it's not really that much. But I mean, the print time is just crazy if you're doing stuff like this where it's just like got so many different filament changes. And I did this at a 0.06 layer height. I don't know. It was with a 0.2 nozzle though, and this took a long time, 3.5 days just for one part. So going forward, I think most of the main parts I'm going to do with a 0.4 nozzle, and then, I mean, but then these won't be as detailed. Either way, whatever. I think most of the main stuff I'll use a 0.4 nozzle, just to save on the printing time, because this one only took a few hours. I just added a little red at the bottom. The butt plate will be black, and then it'll have like a little red accent. So, and that didn't take long at all because it just, you know, changed filament twice, once for the red and then once back to black. So oh, actually once, sorry. It started red, one filament changed to the black. So much faster to print this than this. I think this was like, I'm not even gonna guess, I forgot, but you know, less than a day for this, 3.5 days for this. So, and this is like more heavy duty actually than this one. That's something else I'll have to look into, is probably more walls, because I mean, this is probably going to be the most fragile M4 on the planet when I get done with it. Oh, look, that's like completely off right there. I can like push it right here. It's like not even attached. Well, good thing this one's not going to be the one I use, so no big deal. I'll probably just put some glue on that. Okay, so from here, so I had printed the sling clip, so that goes on here, and I think I actually think for the one I'm make it into an airsoft rifle, I think I want an ambidextrous one of these. So I'll probably modify this to be ambidextrous, so then it doesn't matter which way I put it on. This is the spring to an SCX-24 shock, and this is what I'm going to use for my magazine release. I'll kind of show you how it goes. So this is the magazine release lever. The spring would just go over it like that, and then it would slide. Oh, actually, it would slide in there first, right? And then we would just slide the spring on this side, and then the button would just kind of fit on over that. And I'm using, what, actually, I don't even know what this is. It's M2.5 or M3. M3. So, M3 hardware. That actually works. Pretty good. Something else I noticed, so on this smaller one, it has like a tiny hole up here, but no actual charging handle, which a real M4 would have. So I actually found a charging handle that somebody had made that actually doesn't fit. It doesn't even go with this model. But I really wanted like a fake charging handle, so I just made it fit. So I modeled this piece as kind of a, like, for structural integrity. So the way this works is I took the model's handle and I cut off everything in front of it, the handle itself, because it's just going to be fake. And then this piece just sits right in there. It just slots right in like that. And then this slides in the back. Let me get this off. So this actually go in there together. Like so, and then I have a fake charging handle. Oh, look at that. So when I printed the stock tube, it was too big to fit in the stock. It's still really tight, man, but I had to grind out like a bunch of this bottom rail, so it fits now. I think I might grind out a little bit more, but it does fit on there now. So I've printed a bunch of parts. I got both my printers going right now on some final pieces, so I have a lot of pieces printed for this. I printed a handguard, and this is the handguard I printed, and it turned out pretty cool. So I cut holes in it. So this is, I had printed the same one for this small one. So those holes go all the way through in that small one, and I basically did the same thing for this one, but my print messed up almost out of the gate. So it printed upside down like this, and right where it got to the red, where it would change the filament out to do the red outline there, it, I guess, like missed a layer, just like it did on the receiver, only this one was much worse. So it actually, when I went to go grab it, it came away in two separate pieces, so I glued them together, and then here you can see that it messed up on the rail too. So I reprinted it, and I was just lazy, I didn't want to wait. So this one I printed standing up like this, and I just gave it a red stripe. I'll probably try again to do this, but I was printing this with a 0.2 nozzle, and that takes forever, and that's a lot of time for something to go wrong. So I think for the next version, the next iteration, I'm going to just do a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. That's what I did on this one, and it printed really fast comparatively. The 1913 rail looks really good, and it just overall it turned out really smooth, really clean. So this is the one we're going to use on this one, and I printed the upper receiver. So this one slots in right here. So I need a pin here. On the really small ones, I used a SCX24 hardware. I just drilled a screw in there. This handguard should just slot right on there. Ooh, that fits nicely. One thing about this is all the same filament, but it gives it like a different finish depending on which way you print it. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but you can kind of see the difference in the overall finish when it's done. And this would go here. Okay, the last piece that I have printed thus far is this hand guard, and I don't have a rail yet for it to slot into, for it to be mounted on. So far so good. Check that out. That looks pretty awesome. Assuming I can get it working, I think I'll probably print a couple of them in different colors. It actually is heavier than I was expecting. It's actually, I mean, it's pretty heavy duty, and it's going to need to be, you know, as an airsoft rifle. Okay, so I ended up printing a pin, kind of small. It does work. Probably need to either wrap that with something or, I don't know, figure out a way to kind of secure it in there to make it a little bit harder to come out. So we have this bottom rail. The bottom rail goes on like this. Oh, you know what? I didn't even notice. So these holes don't go all the way through. I'll probably have to drill those. Looks like the largest one I got is a 2.2. Okay, so actually, now that I have that bottom rail on, that handguard should be able to slide over it. Let me actually just try that first. Oh, cool. So I gotta figure out some way of mounting that. So I think what I have to do is make a shim that will slot in through this side hole to keep this from moving forward and backward. So you know what I could do is I could just drill a hole through this handguard, and then maybe I could drill up and put a nut on the inside. But it's coming together. Sort of. It's just not holding together. Okay, continuing on. I reprinted the rails, and these ones actually turned out a lot more smooth than the original ones I had printed. So this is the first one I mounted, and it kind of messed up like on this part right here. So I just mounted one of them, and that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to take this one off and then mount the new one. I think that when basically I'm using this whole build as just like a test run, and then seeing if I can figure out better ways of doing things. So like, or if I run into any issues with the housing. So one of the things that I've run into is this handguard. There's no way to attach it, so I ended up printing like these block shims that slide through, and it prevents it from moving forward and backward on the rail. And that actually works to hold it in place, but it is kind of loose, like it kind of wiggles around. So what I think I'm going to do when I go to build the actual airsoft rifle, I'll drill a hole maybe in 2 spots on the bottom here, and then make it to where I can drill a bolt through, and then put a nut on the other side that will also act to hold this rail in place too. So that's one change I think that I'm going to try to implement if I can't figure out a better way of attaching this without gluing it. I don't really want to glue anything. I want it to be easily disassembled, taken apart, so I can replace parts on it. I'm just going to use 4 bolts per rail. I don't know if I'll have long enough ones to run through the handguard and bolt in, but we'll see. So I just printed a few more parts. So this is one of the parts that I've printed. I'm still printing the barrel, so the barrel actually screws into this side. This one still has supports in it. See if we can get those out of there. So hopefully the threads in there, this piece is threaded, so hopefully the barrel can thread in there nice and easy. So this goes here just like so, and then this will slide on this. So it looks like the handguard has to go on before it's bolted in, before that inner piece is bolted in. So I can't actually have these first bolts here because that interferes with this piece. So I guess I'm taking those off. I had printed a barrel. This is the barrel. So I printed this barrel. I printed the muzzle device for the end of it, just used some M3 bolts for the end of it to attach it. For now, I'm actually just going to put this together without any hardware. Let's actually, yeah, let's just put this barrel on. I'm just going to put the regular one on. I mean, it looks pretty cool though. I guess it would, technically this would be an SBR because it has a short barrel. Let's actually see if this handguard fits on. Because now that I got those, oh well, I took off the rails, so oh yeah, it fits. Pretty badass. That's pretty much all together. I mean, obviously these just kind of slip off, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to securely mount this, and then also this handguard. For right now I have those shims holding it in place, but I don't really like that. And then I have, so for this, the one I'm not actually turning into an airsoft rifle, I'm gonna print a fake magazine for it, and I made one. It's printing right now. I'll see if it actually fits in there. It's actually the same one that I made for this little one. I just blew it up, and this fits the little one just fine, and the magazine release works for taking it in and out. So hopefully it'll just slot in there and I won't have any issues with it. And this time I'll have a spring in this one that'll reset that magazine release, so it actually will work like it's supposed to work. And then I also wanted to do a spring in the adjustable stock, so I could actually get this adjustable thing, lever, to work. So that's what I'll work on today. Oh, something else I also printed was a gas block for the end. So this is a little fake gas block. For being all 3D printed, that thing looks pretty badass. I like how the charging handle actually fits in there. I mean, it fits really well. Okay, so the next steps, I guess, I'm going to, really what I need to figure out how to do is mount this, securely mount the buttstock, the tube, see if a magazine, to see if I can fit a magazine in here. I don't know, so I actually don't know what the fire control switch, so this selector switch, I actually, on an airsoft rifle, I don't know what that attaches to. I guess I'll just wait for the gearbox and just see what I can tell from that about where everything goes. I think a rear pin will go here, but I need and that goes through the gearbox, and then this, I guess, connects the other side of the fire control lever. Actually, what goes here? Maybe a pin for the trigger? Still don't know what this button's for, so lots to figure out. I also printed a magazine, and that fits perfectly, and then you just press that and the magazine release works. I also glued the lower receiver together because it was cracked in half, and I mounted both rails. I took the muzzle device off of the barrel because I'm going to put this gas block on the tip, so that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, gas block. Okay, so final pieces now. Okay, there it is. So the only thing I think I'm missing is the pistol grip, some sort of faux trigger. I think this There's a very good possibility that this will work, assuming I can get a gearbox to fit in the receiver. But yeah, this is awesome. So when that pistol grip is done printing, I'll put it on this, and we'll be done with our kind of test run. I think I could do a little bit better job with all the accent colors, so I'll probably concentrate a little bit more on that with the actual one I turn into an airsoft rifle. So one or two more parts and this one will be finished. Okay, I printed a lever for the stock, and I grabbed a shock spring from the SCX 24s. So this is just like the stiffer spring from, I actually don't even know what set of shocks it came off because I just stick all the ones I never use in a bag. So this will just fit right back here on this lever, and then there's a hole in the stock right here, a cutout. Basically I'm just putting the spring into that depression. Ooh, that's tight. Is that gonna work? Oh. Oh. It could be a little bit smoother, but yeah, that works pretty good. So something else that I'll probably end up doing is just grinding this down a little bit more. So when I print the one for the actual airsoft rifle, I will actually probably print it sitting just like this, and then I'll just sink it into the bed so it cuts off of that, so I won't have any ugly grinding marks. Well, we have arrived. So we have finished building the kind of pilot weapon. So this is the final replica, I guess you could call it. So the stock is adjustable. It has a working lever with a spring. It's kind of stiff though, so I've started printing parts for the one I will actually turn into an airsoft rifle. So this is just a faux magazine. I'll end up buying the actual magazines that hold the BBs. So I think we're actually at a place to where we can actually start putting together the actual airsoft rifle. I'll put an actual red dot on the airsoft rifle. I'll probably put, you know, just like a flashlight on it or whatever. Probably some other attachments if we can get it working. This trigger on this version does not work. The gearbox will have a trigger included. I did modify the handguard, so we're going to do the handguard a little bit differently. Right now I just have these shims holding it in place, and I don't like that because it wiggles around. I like things to be tight and not, I don't know, jiggly. But otherwise, I think this turned out pretty cool. I do want to rethink actually this pin. So let's actually talk about the pieces that I want to change. So the stock is fine. I don't really want to change anything about the stock or the adjustment lever. The tube, I will cut off basically the bottom 2 or 3 millimeters so that it fits, so that the stock slides a little bit better. I will modify the sling plate to make that thicker and ambidextrous. I did do that with this one. There is a loop on either side. The charging handle I'll leave alone. It just adds a little bit of realism to it. The pistol grip, I don't know whether I'm gonna do this beaver tail or not. I kind of like the beaver tail on it, so I'll have to figure out some of the hardware that I need, like a thumb screw for the pistol grip, for the lower receiver. Thicker walls, a little bit more infill, primarily just thicker walls though, to kind of give it some durability, to improve the durability on it. I like this button, but I think I might actually try to remodel this button. It is cool though. It's kind of like extra large, and it has this like paddle that kind of comes off this side. The other side, so I'll have to figure out how to mount this safety, the fire control switch. It'll like basically sit against the gearbox on the inside, but it's not going to work like an actual fire control switch, so I'm not really sure because I've never built an airsoft rifle before, how that's going to work. So I do have to figure out that. Let's see, the handguard, I modified the model for this. Well, you can't really see him because the handguard's on here, but the rail is bolted in, and the bolts, the rail sits over the handguard. The handguard doesn't actually have holes all the way through it. So I modified the model to drill, to basically cut out holes all the way down, because that's going to tie in with how I'm going to mount the handguard. So I can just mount it with bolts instead of shims. So it's not going to be as easily adjustable, but I'm not going to really adjust it too much anyway. Usually I'm not adjusting my handguards a whole bunch. Other than that, oh, and then the barrel. That was the final thing that I modified. Other than like the gas block, I put some text on it. So that's pretty much it. This one is finished. This is all I'm going to do with this. I think it turned out pretty cool. So we're going to get started on building the actual airsoft rifle. I just have to wait for some parts to arrive. So today the gearbox arrived. So I got a V2 gearbox. I have not tried to put it in a lower receiver or anything, but that's the plan. In the next video, I'm going to see if the gearbox works with the lower and upper receiver. I do have, what do I have on the way? A hop-up unit. So the hop-up would sit here at the end of the receiver, the upper receiver, and it would basically connect to the inner barrel, which I don't have, but that's the next part I have on the way. But really the main hurdle is going to be this gearbox. If the gearbox works, there's a very, very good chance we can get the whole thing to work. Oh, and actually the gearbox came with a motor, so if those two things work, then we can probably get this whole thing to work. Will it be awesome? I don't know. But it'll be fun to find out either way and see if we can actually get a working airsoft rifle out of it. So that's where I'm at. Pretty cool little replica thing. So I guess kind of keep a watch out for the next video, because I'm going to be putting the actual airsoft rifle together.